And she's like, my house? You mean my house? He talks about how Tom texted him, inviting him to his birthday party, and James thought it was kind of manipulative for Tom to invite him over for his birthday. Sheena thinks that it's interesting that James was the first person that Sandoval unblocked and reached out to, because just a few months before this, James was encouraging people to throw tomatoes at Sandoval on stage. And of course, Sheena was the first person to reach out to Sandoval. In a confessional, she wonders if her friendship really did mean nothing to Tom. But she really seems to have a moment of clarity, and she says, well, I also was trashing Tom, so he probably feels like his friendship meant nothing to me. I really do enjoy these moments of clarity and self-realization with Sheena, and I hope we get more of them in the future. James continues to tell everyone about his conversation with Tom, and how Tom brought up Kristen. This is met with a lot of eye rolls and oh my gods. Ariana says it's become scary because he has no one around him to give him honest feedback. It's just all people on his payroll, which confirms what I think we all were suspecting, and I mentioned in my last episode. We are back at Tom's birthday, and we get a montage of clips of him talking to his partygoers. Jason claims that James came in there hot, and I didn't really get that impression at all. We see Tom talking to Billy Lee and another woman, telling them about the time James used Tom's shirt as a towel after sex with Kristen, and they are both like, oh my god, like really laying it on thick with their reactions. Like, you can't tell me Billy Lee has not heard this story several times before. I don't know. We are at emo night at the actual event, and I believe the way emo night works is that the guests will come out with a curated playlist, and they will play a certain amount of songs from that. I really want to know, like, how well the girls were received. I can't imagine there is a high amount of crossover of, like, emo fans and VPR fans. But I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, because I am an emo fan and a VPR fan, so maybe there's more of us than I thought. The crowd did seem very, very hyped for them, and Ariana was, like, obviously on top of the world at this point, so. James says that he would be caught dead before playing a pre-recorded set. Like, we know, babe. We know you're a real DJ. We know that. Lala says that she still doesn't know what emo music is, and she's wondering, is Nickelback an emo band? It's such a foreign concept to me that people don't know what emo music is, because it was, and still is, such an integral part of my life. But I guess I'm just of that perfect age where it would be, it came into my life at such a pivotal time. So, I don't know. I am thankful to be a fan of emo music. I would also really love to know what songs were on the girls' playlist. she says she always wanted to be the singer in a band full of guys, which is like such a classic Sheena thing to say. She says she's on cloud 9 right now, living her best life. One thing I noticed is, like, where is Brock in these scenes? I feel like I did not see him, and I thought for sure we would get, like, a shot of him, like, rocking out to his wife. I don't know, maybe I just missed him, but I feel like we did not see Brock during Sheena's performance. There is an interstitial scene that I need to talk about here because it killed me. It's a scene of an employee leading the emo night mascot, like, through the alleyway, and she's leading the mascot, like, by his hands, and the mascot is a giant tombstone that says emo night on it, and his little hands are like Mickey Mouse hands, and it's like, I don't know, it made me laugh so hard. I was just like, what the hell? We see Schwartz showing up, and he finds out that he missed the girl's set. Sheena says, you know, that's what you get when you choose Tom Sandoval over the group. You miss the fun, and she is very salty about it. Back to Tom's party. We are singing happy birthday. Billie Lee is delivering the cake, and she is looking at him like a woman in love. She's looking at him like she's walking down the aisle to her future husband. And you know what? I wouldn't mind seeing the two of them get together. That's my hot take. I mean, she is obviously head over heels for Tom, and that is exactly the kind of person that Tom wants to be with, so I think they should get together. Tom is grateful for the friends that have stuck around. He says that because of his actions, his friends have all received hate. Billie Lee has received transphobic remarks. Jason has been threatened. Neither of those things are okay. It takes a seriously unhinged person to send hate to essentially strangers online because their friend made a stupid decision. So Tom is chatting with Billie Lee, and he tells her that his feelings are hurt because Rachel did not text him or call him for his birthday. Billie Lee says she feels like Rachel abandoned Tom. Like, I mean, she's getting mental health help. I wouldn't call that abandoning Tom, but okay. She says that she has seen Tom suffer through his breakup with Ariana, but also suffer because of Rachel. She says that he was at her beck and call, always running off to take her phone calls. He tells Billie Lee, you know, he hasn't even talked to her in a few weeks at this point. He thought maybe she would call because it's his birthday, and he really loves her and misses her. So, Rachel said on her podcast that Tom and her, you know, would send packages back and forth, and she got a package from Tom, and there was a couple of gifts and a letter in that package, and in the letter, Tom was essentially belittling her choice to go to therapy, and he says he's never seen her so dependent on a place, and that made her feel awful. She felt like he was manipulating her into leaving therapy, and she decided to cut it off with him because of that. She considered letting him know that she was done, but her therapist recommended that she just go no contact, and that's what she has done, and that is what we are seeing kind of real time with Tom in the show. Like, he does not yet know that she has cut ties with him, but it's happened. And you know what? I say good for you, Rachel. That was pretty much the most responsible, smartest thing that you could have done. Billie Lee says, yeah, you know, it's all about she said it herself in a confessional in like the first episode. And current day, she is trying to walk back what she said, but she said it herself, and I think we all know Sheena would not be that pressed had nothing seriously affected her in the situation. So, regardless, Ariana says that, Schwartz does not need to be invited to things, and like, hard agree, because Schwartz is Katie's ex. Like, in what world are two exes hanging out as much as Schwartz thinks that they should be? Katie tells Ariana that she asked Sheena if she was going to be a person that flip-flops, because we all know Sheena is a total flip-flopper. Ariana says that people are always able to make Sheena feel bad for them, which is just a nice way of saying that she's very easily manipulated. Katie says it makes her nervous because that's going to bring energy around that she does not want. I think that it's pretty clear that Ariana and Sheena aren't actually as close as Sheena would like us to think. Sorry, my dog is growling at something. Anyway, she said so much herself. At the after show that Ariana doesn't respond to her texts that often, doesn't really reach out, blah blah blah. So I think it's pretty clear that they are just like co-workers on the show and not that great of friends, not as great of friends as they have made it seem through the years. We are now at Pump. Lisa is sitting in the half-empty restaurant, realizing, it's really closing, and she's feeling kind of sad about it. She calls Ken. She's like, I don't know, what if we've made a mistake? That was an awful accent. I am sorry. I won't do that anymore. Ken's like, well, we can reopen if you want to change your mind. Lisa's walking around, and in the background you see like a large metal sign that says, what does it say? Hang on. It says, wine makes my clothes fall off. And it's a metal sign, and it's in that like font that we all used to use when we made PowerPoint presentations in 5th grade, that like curly font. And it just seems like such a tacky piece of decor to me that it like really stuck out. There was another one that she walked by that said something like, my Pinot is bigger than your Pinot, or something. I don't know, I couldn't read that one that well, but it just stuck out to me. Like, I never noticed that kind of decor in Pump before. I don't know, maybe it was there and I just didn't notice it. So Sandoval walks in, and Lisa looks totally surprised. There are a lot of scenes that are clearly like set up by production, and these people are just like such bad actors. These like producers set up scenes don't really bother me, but they do seem to bother people online a great deal. Lisa asks Tom if he has seen anyone since being home from New Zealand, and he's like, yeah, I've seen Ariana, but I haven't talked to her. Lisa says, I have no idea why you guys are still living together. She says asks about, finding friendship with Sheena or anybody, Tom says he doesn't know, and she says the only way to repair these relationships is with utter sensitivity and contrition. She tells him to just say you understand without fighting her, and he says, I understand. I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced that he does, because he never shows utter sensitivity or contrition with anything he says. I have lost 2 people very, very close to me to suicide, and I have also fought my own battles. I cannot in good faith claim that someone is lying about their struggles. I will not do it, and I will always take someone seriously when they say they are struggling. I believe that is the only correct option. The overwhelming consensus online is that Tom is lying and using suicide to manipulate Lisa's feelings. If that is what he's doing, he still needs mental health help, because that is beyond acceptable human behavior. Again, I just hope that if Tom was experiencing suicidal ideations or thoughts, that he did get the help that he needed. I don't doubt that he was lying about it, because the man is a narcissist, and when a narcissist has an incredible fall from grace like that, like they're gonna go to a dark place. I don't know. That was a tough scene for me. I'm not gonna lie, I got a little teary-eyed when Lisa talked about her brother, because it's just a tough subject for me. And again, I don't want to get too deep, because I could honestly talk about this for hours, but nobody wants to hear that. So that's pretty much just what I'm gonna say for now. Now we are at a cute little plant gift shop with Ariana and Lala. They talk about going to see you next Tuesday, and they talk about how when James is sober, he's a much better DJ. Ariana says that she would never tell him what is good for him or not good for him. And Lala says, I love that, because I don't think anyone who still drinks should have an opinion on someone else's sobriety. She even feels like she shouldn't ask James if he wants to go to a meeting with her. In a confessional, Lala says that she thinks being sober is beneficial for everyone, and I agree 100% with her. I stopped drinking a couple years ago, and I have never once regretted it. The girls talk about what they're gonna wear to see you next Tuesday, and Lala says if she had Ariana's body, she would be wearing latex 24/7. But like, Lala has a banging body too, and what she ended up says that he's trying to have a conversation and everyone is teaming up on him. Half of the group hasn't even said a word. Like, at all. Nobody is teaming up on him. They're having a serious conversation. Katie says, release yourself from the torture you have been under. Schwartz says that he doesn't have anything else to say. Sheena says that she is going to the bathroom, and she so conveniently walks by Sandoval and Kyle Chan. Obviously, this was another scene orchestrated by production. And again, I don't really care about these setup scenes because, like, you're a fool if you don't realize that most of reality TV is set up. But people seriously get, like, up in arms about it, and I don't know. Sheena does look like she has seen a ghost when she sees Tom. This is such an awkward scene. She's got this, like, real creepy grin on her face. Someone on Reddit said that she looked like Momo this scene, and I lost it because Momo scared the hell out of me. He asks if she can go talk, and she's like, I'm not doing this here. You can meet me in the back. We are getting a back alley absurd scene. So exciting. Tom brings Sheena a drink. He brings her a vodka soda. And she's like, well, I've been sober for 3 weeks. And he's like, oh, I had a feeling you weren't drinking. They stare at each other for a minute, and I am dying inside. Like, such secondhand embarrassment. So cringy. He tells her she looks like she rode in on a Shania Twain motorcycle and asks if that was the look she was going for. She says, like, yeah, Y2K, and Tom's like, yes, and does like a little fist bump, like, this isn't trivia night, babe. He says that he was going for a similar look, and the sweater he is wearing was actually Ali's sweater. I actually do really like Tom's look here. His hair is really giving Sean Hunter also, so I'll give him that. I have like so many notes for this like final scene, and I'm just gonna be reading it a lot. I feel like I've been reading my notes a lot for this video, so if you're watching the video version of this, I'm sorry because that's probably pretty annoying, but I'm doing my best. I wrote these notes like almost 2 weeks ago. Sheena says that she didn't expect getting blocked after reaching out about Ali. He says that he appreciates her reaching out, but he just was not in a good place. And he says he felt like she was reaching out just to say that she did. Sheena says she would have hoped after 14 years of friendship he would realize that she was being sincere. She says Tom hasn't been acting like he has a heart. Tom says that everything he does is looked at negatively. Sheena says he should have been more honest and remorseful from the beginning and things would be different. Definitely agree. Tom agrees that he handled this awfully, but there's nothing he can do about it now. She says he can still apologize and be remorseful and can stop acting like a villain. Tom says he did apologize to her, and we get a flashback of his apology to Sheena at her apartment. Sheena says it's not just her, and Tom says that he would love to talk to Ariana, because out of everybody, she's actually being the least vindictive when she's the one he hurt the most. Tom says that the hate has been relentless, and Sheena's like, you need to calm down with the mentions of Rachel and your performances, and everything you are doing is the definition of a narcissist. He says it's not, you should look it up. Like, sir, can you just calm down for 1 minute? Like, 1 minute. Sheena says a narcissist will never admit that they are one, and Tom says, yeah, that's why Lala won't say she is. I'm sorry, why are we bringing up Lala? Again, you can't just be She started